D3 didn't have trading? Yes, it did. How can you say that? How can you say that? I bought food because it had trading. And we're going to talk about some of the announcements with Diablo 4. I would have been a Diablo fan ever since Diablo 2. Mom thought it would turn me into a Satanist, so she didn't buy it for me. And played Diablo 3 pretty much obsessively. I got level 60. I cleared Inferno Diablo whenever it first came out. They nerfed my class. I quit for a week. I was still addicted, so I came back. I got Paragon 100. I probably put collectively 2,000 to 4,000 hours into the game. All right, so here we go. Here's the gameplay overview. We're going to watch this for Diablo 4. I'll say again, the aesthetics and graphics for the game look really good. I really like the aesthetics and the graphics for Diablo 4. My concern with the game is actually not even about the cash shop. I don't care if Diablo 4 is pay to win. I care if it's good.
Diablo 4 is the next generation of action RPG, melding monster slaying and loot collecting with a fully realized open world.
This looks great. Tyrael, I guess.
Faint of heart. It's gory and unnerving. It's creepy.
Diablo 4 is all about player choice.
That looks cool. I really like that.
Diablo game and just expands them with all the new features that people really love and appreciate in
That's
modern
cool.
games.
The little scythe. Obviously, that's the character selector.
You can create in Diablo 4.
This looks cool.
It's important to include robust character customization because then I can play the fantasy that I want to play.
I think so too. I'm glad they're adding this. I think that with Diablo Immortal, they did a really good job with that too. The Diablo Immortal character customization was above par for any other Blizzard game prior. It's the best character customization they've had ever.
Allows you to switch around your playstyle as well.
Everything feels very powerful and fun.
One of the really cool things about having an open world is your journey that you take throughout Diablo 4 is your own. There's no linear path that you have to follow.
We've got almost 150 dungeons in the game.
There's all kinds of surprises as you're exploring.
That looks cool.
Strongholds are an enemy territory that you need to reclaim.
You might have a space that begins as a hostile area, but after you've cleared it out,
the evil in this place has been cleansed.
It now becomes a friendly town.
That's cool.
Sometimes it's a new town.
I like that, yeah.
Sometimes it's a new dungeon. There's a whole bunch of rewards that you get. And you have a real impact on the world as a result.
No, you can't leave us here. They might come back any moment.
Local events are really cool little story segments that happen within the open world.
You'll just be running through the world and then a local event will pop up and you can choose to participate in it.
They have these, I mean, these are effectively like kind of world quests or the same thing as like Lost Ark has this. A lot of games have these. I think that's good. I think that people said like not everything has to be innovative. Sometimes things are just good and so like everybody uses them. That's kind of the way that I feel about this, where it's like everybody uses this kind of feature. It's because it's good. I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's still good for the game. Yeah.
On these like giant world bosses.
These are events that take a lot of people and you really have to work together.
Being able to see all the players on your screen, collaborating, trying to take this big monster down, it's epic.
It
My expectations with the world bosses is that none of them will be hard. The same thing happens really with like Lost Ark, where Moke was a big cock in the ass because he would just reset over and over and people were under-geared. Oh, great. The boss just reset. But other than that, it was just all kind of the same. It's just a huge, they're target dummies. And it's the same thing as WoW, too. Like, it's all the same.
So easy to create a community. It makes Diablo more of a social experience.
We've got fully enabled crossplay.
I really like that. I think crossplay is also, it should be a given.
If you have an Xbox and your buddy has a PC,
you can play together.
Or you could play couch co-op. Two people on a couch can sit there and have a great experience.
That's really important. I like that a lot. That's great.
We've created specific zones where players can engage in PvP.
If you go there, you can start swinging away at people. But you're also opening yourself up to being swung at.
That would make sense.
If you're like really, really good, the game actually marks you as like a champion on the map.
So it's like the bounty system in WoW.
You basically become a loot pinata and everyone wants to chase you down.
See, this part right here is what really matters. They're not going to do that. Forced PvP. I think they're probably going to have... Yeah, it's opt-in zone, stuff like that. They confirmed it's opt-in? Okay, yeah.
Mission is really the beginning of a whole different part of the journey.
Now you're set up for the end game, and that end game is rich with things to do that allow you to get more and more powerful.
Like what?
Whether it's new items or new dungeons or new Paragon boards, every single time you come back to play Diablo 4, there's going to be new stuff for you to experience.
And it's something that we're going to support for years to come.
I'm really excited for folks to get their hands on
Caleb.
Diablo 4.
Just to see millions of people really enjoying the different options.
Through the campaign,
local events,
couch co-op,
endgame,
PvP, it almost doesn't end.
And we are so close.
So, okay. So that's the trailer. This is cool. I like the, I like the story of Diablo 4. I find it to be, like, moderately compelling. I think this is okay. Now that we've looked at the trailers, and we've talked a little bit about that, now, overall, I think that the big problem with Diablo 3, it's that it never really got a lot of meaningful updates post-launch. So what I mean by that is that if you played Diablo, like, let's say 5 months after the game came out, and then you played Diablo 5 months before Reaper of Souls came out, you were effectively playing the exact same game. There was no real meaningful content that was introduced that changed the experience of a player. There was no extra content to do. So that's probably the worst thing that Blizzard has had as a end game for these games, lacks a substantial level of depth. So, like, for example, in, like, let's say Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, what really is the end game of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls? You go through the campaign that's effectively a formality. Then you go through the different torment rifts, and then you do greater rifts. That's about it, right? Did I miss anything? Oh, you do bounties, too. That's right. Yeah, you do bounties so you can get that ring. I remember there's a ring in Act 1 or something like that. Yeah. So that's basically it. That's the whole game. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just bad. It's bad. Like, straight up. Am I crazy? Like, am I absolutely crazy? Like, that's bad? That's the same exact content every single time that you do it, and there's nothing that's dynamic or new about it at all? And D4 will be different? Well, then why wasn't Immortal different? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean it'll be different? Why would you think that? And so anyway, here's really like the ultimate opinion that I have about the game. It's a situation of fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, we don't get fooled again. It's not that I don't want to play Diablo 4. It's that I don't want to get excited about it because of what's happened with Diablo 3, Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, Diablo Immortal, Shadowlands, and Overwatch. Every single game has had the same problem. The problems from the game are solved with way too much time required to do so. Then they finally get solved, and then nothing happens after that. There's no real growth of the game. And a good way to look at it is that, when did Reaper of Souls get released? It was 2016, am I right? 2016. So the game's been out for 6 years. Let's say 2014. Oh my god, I'm getting old. Holy shit. So here's a good question that I could ask a lot of people. How much content has been added into Reaper of Souls between 2014 and now? And how much content has been added into Path of Exile between 2014 and now? Comparison's complete garbage. You're comparing an abandoned game to a live game? Why do you... So, I find it to be so sad that so many people can be so delusional. So, D3 is a live game. Blizzard is notorious for effectively like releasing a game and then just saying, all right, well, we're done. That's it. D4 is inspired by Diablo 2 and not Diablo 3. Let me ask you a question. The people that are working on Diablo Reaper of Souls right now, how much do you want to bet they're the same people that are working on Diablo 4? Are there people in here that actually think that Diablo 4 is going to be any different than literally every single live game that Blizzard's released in the past 10 years? So, this is basically what Adam and also Rod Ferguson said. D4 is coming out as a full-price game built strictly for PC console audiences. Paid content's built around optional cosmetic items and eventually full expansions. So, what does this mean? The game is huge. Paid content will be built around optional cosmetic items. So, remember whenever Wyatt Chang said you wouldn't be able to buy gear in Diablo Immortal? So this is a post that was made by Don't You Have Phones. In Diablo Immortal, there's no way to acquire rank up gear using money. And that was a deliberately disingenuous statement to make, because everybody knows that you can buy other things besides the gear that makes you more powerful. It was a deliberately misleading statement to make people think something that's not true. It's literally that simple. And then on top of that, this is the same company that did this same type of language bullshit. If they were going to say it, why wouldn't they just say it's only cosmetic items? That's it. You just say it's only cosmetic items. They didn't say that. So here's basically what my concern is and what my expectation is. My concern and my expectation is that Diablo 4 will have cosmetic items, but the cosmetic items will not be the full extent of the store, but they will also not be BOE. So that means that players will be able to trade and move those cosmetic items between themselves. And if the solution to that is to remove trade from an ARPG, I don't think that's a good idea. That's what they basically did with Reaper of Souls, is they said, we are so lazy, we are going to make gold mean nothing, and we don't care about that anymore, and you're not going to be able to trade gear because we don't want to manage our own game. We're going to actively make the game worse because we're lazy. You see what I'm saying? MMOs need trade. Economy and D3? Yes, economy and D3. D3 didn't have trading? Yes, it did. How can you say that? How can you say that? I bought food because it had trading. They removed it. They removed the real money auction house, but they didn't remove... Yes, they removed all of it. I think that you should be able to trade items. In my opinion, if the solution to people RMTing and trading items in a way that you dislike, the solution to that is to remove trading from the game, I don't think that's a good game. I think that you're just being a lazy and bad developer. Path of Exile doesn't do that. Path of Exile has open trading, and people RMT in Path of Exile. It's stupid, but it is what it is. And that's about it. Yeah, we should have trading. You should absolutely have trading. Yeah, I quit during that because there's no future in the game. There's no end game. There's no goal in the game except for just doing bigger and bigger numbers. And I think that's effectively what the problem with Diablo is. And this is my understanding with Diablo Immortal as well. Is you just do the same content, but the boss does more damage and has higher health. That's it. There's not like new mechanics. There's nothing. Like you just do the same boss and he has more health. I mean, I'm sorry, like Lost Ark. That's not true. That's like PoE. And also, let's look at Lost Ark, okay? And these are also all challenges that effectively exist on a baseline. Argos. Valton. Velganos. Just all other Guardians. Right? Let's just say, like, we'll just do Guardians in general, right? Vicus. Let's see now. And, right now, yeah, Alaric. Let's see. Kukul Satan. Belshazzar. So all of these, and Tower. Tower is another one, even though it's very easy. And also, like, yeah, a con coming soon. All of these challenges are challenges in Lost Ark that exist at one baseline. You have to meet a baseline in order to overcome this challenge. And you use overcoming Valton to overcome Vicus. You use overcoming Vicus to overcome Kukul Satan. And then Belshazzar. You understand how this is a progression system? Is that these games have progression systems. Diablo has a repetition system. That's what they do. Overcome by progress and real money. Yes. And that's probably the biggest and worst thing about Lost Ark, is that you can spend money and gain an advantage. I'm not going to defend that because it's bad. Why would anybody say that? Why would anybody think that's a good thing? Of course that's not good. Diablo bosses are also so easy. Yes, and also, like, how many mechanics do the Diablo bosses have? Well, let's go ahead and let's look. So here's what the boss does. It does a breath, and it shoots bombs, and it shoots, I think, 3 fireballs, right? And it puts that fire thing on the ground. It did 1 melee and it almost one-shot him. That's it. That's the extent of a boss. Isn't that crazy? Okay, here we go. Here's the boss. This boss, I think, does a whirlwind. It's been a long time. Yeah, that's a fire thing. That's it. That's the entire... Those are all of the mechanics of the bosses. It's actually quite hard. What do you think's harder, that or Vulcan? What do you think is better? That or Vulcan? So the point that I'm making here is that I've gone so far off of Diablo, but hopefully you guys can see where I'm going with this, right? But what were they doing instead? Nothing. They were doing absolutely fucking nothing. They were sitting around making the same content, releasing it over and over and over, retuning the same set bonuses, making the same Infernal Maiden that I killed 6 years ago that has the same fucking mechanics. And yes,